gonna start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panels, our side of the house is really proud to oppose this proposal because we think that it's not necessary and it's really problematic. And our goals is really simple. We want to protect the politics and better than the other side of the house. But before that, I'm gonna give a civil rebuttal to the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister said that we need a standard in voting because vote is real crucial and it's a form of the real democracy. And we think exactly because of that, because this is a form of democracy, therefore every voice is matter, regardless they have a good knowledge or not, because that is how democracy works in all the society, right? We do not want grouping them based on their political general knowledge. And furthermore, actually, in learning about the political general knowledge for the test, it still requires someone's ability to learn, right? Which is, in our society, there must a good person that good in learning, and there must be a person that bad in learning, such as the uneducated person or poor people that have no education since the beginning, so it's really hard for them to learn about this general political knowledge. So actually, in the government side, they're grouping people not only based on the political general knowledge but also based on ability people to learn. And secondly, this government side telling us it's okay for taking someone's right to vote because it's gonna be harmful if you vote. But we think that actually in their side it's gonna make the same harm and making it worse. Why? Because when they say they want to protect the marginalized, but we have to see some of the marginalized have the nature like the uneducated one, or maybe the person that hard to access the education and hard to access this political general knowledge, so they cannot pass this test. So the question in here, in their side of the house, is when their side of the house actually increasing the possibility that this marginalized and the minority that have this nature, it's hard to join this vote. How can they protect this marginalized? Because exactly they cannot participate. It's harder for them to participate. When they cannot participate, how can they give their representation in there, and how can they choose which of the candidate can be better in their side of the house, in their side, like the marginalized and also the minority. So it's begs a question. And also the last one about the benefits, they give several benefits which we think the benefits is actually gonna bring the other harm to the society, that I'm gonna intertwine that later on my speech. So there are three main points that I'm gonna deliver in here. The first one, we think that this proposal has no necessity and that is why it's not urgent. And the second one, we think it's still not justified for the government to take away someone's right to vote. And the last one, this proposal is gonna be harmful to the government and also the society. And let's begin from the first part. This proposal has no urgency and not necessary. Why? Because the first, people do not have to pass this political general knowledge test, because exactly this people, the citizen, is the rational actors, and also the nature of them as the human is opportunist, right? So we think it's okay for them to choose which candidate that give them more benefit, right? But even if it is based on the narrative from the social media, or the narrative from the society, or maybe the narrative from the campaign itself. Because when this government, in the worst scenario, cannot fulfill their promises in the future, these people actually have the power to criticize the government. For example, like through demonstration, or maybe making the same narrative in the social media, which in the beginning is the one who attracted them to this campaign. And actually in this side of the house, it's gonna be happen too, because they said that it's gonna be more objective. Yeah, more objective based on what? Based on the campaign, right? When this campaign is actually including something information that is actually showing only the best side of this candidate, only in the good side, and there's no guarantee in the future that this candidate can guarantee. There's no guarantee that in the future this candidate can fulfill that or achieve the vision and mission in their campaign, or any objectivity that they mean. Actually, it's same with our side of the house. So that's why we say that there's no urgency that's really meaningful to push this proposal into our society. And secondly, I'm gonna prove how it's still not justified for the government to take someone's right to vote. Because exactly, people has the right could consider something that impacted to their life, right? So the candidate in the future, if they being chosen, will be the stakeholder that gonna govern these people, that gonna make the policies and make the restriction, make the rules that gonna impact it for these people, these citizens. For example, like the Mr. President then make an economic policy and about the tax, for example, which the tax is gonna be impacted directly to someone's financial, right? So these people has the right to consider which the stakeholder gonna give them the best, and because the stakeholder gonna impact it to their life directly, not indirectly. And also the other side of the house, which they mention about voting is the biggest form of the social participation. Well, we think that is true, and actually exactly because of that, imagine if this their right to participate in the biggest social participation is being stalled, is being taken. It can be justified morally, and it really contradicts the definition of the democracy or the participation in democracy, right? And also, I'm gonna prove how it's gonna be harmful. So it is the third point, which we think that's gonna be harmful to the government. So how it's gonna be harmful to the government? Because we think that because of this proposal, there must be only some people that can vote. Maybe there must be some that cannot be vote in here because they cannot pass the test. They're gonna have the stronger justification, right, to blame the government. Even in the status quo right now, people keep blaming this citizen. People keep blaming this government because even when they are able to vote, they still blame the government for no reason, for many things. Like for example, like the Anis that keep being blamed for the flood that happened in the Jakarta. Although it happened because the nature or the people's habit to throw the trashes in the river, but still Anis is become the one who being blamed in here. But imagine with this proposal, these people gonna have the stronger justification and stronger way to blame the government easier. Because what? Because they can just directly say, I don't have any chance to vote the candidate, so maybe the other candidate is much better, so but I don't have any ability to choose them. So that's why we have the government that is really really bad in making policy or so on and so forth, and that is not my fault, it is so on and so forth. And that is why this gonna make a worse narrative in our society that can be the burden for the government, because only these people, there are some people that have no chance to vote in here. And there is and also I'm gonna intertwine some of the rebuttal in the beginning was my speech, which I'm gonna engage with the benefits from the government side. So they said that it's gonna give two main benefits. The first one, it makes people more analytical and also more objective. But we think, like I mentioned previously, it's just because in the campaign, this candidate showing their best, and there's no guarantee in the future that is gonna be fulfilled, right? It's similar with our side, and so there's no urgency, like I said in the beginning. And the second one, they want to stop the polarization, but it's still problematic because in their side of the house, they're gonna make the two separated groups, which the one that can vote and the one who cannot vote, and even worse, they make the group based on the political knowledge of someone. And that is why we are very proud to oppose this motion.